Hello Clan fans! So I'm just about to start episode 10 of season 5 of Outlander. However, there was something that I did not get to discuss in my video last week, and that is a conversation that Brianna and Roger had in episode 9. So the issue that they're dealing with is that Bonnet could easily say that Jemmy is his son, and the reason being that it's not just a matter of he's the father, but he could easily say that Brianna was a willing participant in the rape. And because there were witnesses there, they could all agree to that. Which is honestly despicably disgusting. And even worse so to think that that could happen today. I have actually read cases not that far in the past where a rapist has tried to claim their child. And it's just horrible because these are people who really shouldn't have rights to children at all because they're just horrible human beings. So it's interesting that Outlander is covering this. I know they've covered it in the book, but it will be interesting to see how they cover it on the show. I don't know if they're gonna be word for word with the book here, but I am definitely interested to see what they do with it. And yeah, I did read that Brianna might get a little revenge this season, possibly, because she does in the book. So I am hoping that they kept that in, but hard to say. So what I'm going to do is watch episode 10 and I will be right back with my recap and review. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hello Clan fans! So, wow, episode 10 was not at all what I expected it to be. And honestly, like, my heart was racing the whole time. It was really like watching a thriller. And I did not expect what happened at the end. So, let's talk about episode 10. Alright. Goodness, Outlander is good at throwing you off course sometimes. Sometimes you think you know something's gonna happen, and then either it doesn't or it happens in a different way. So in this case, we saw Stephen Bonnet return, yes. But, guys, he's done. I honestly thought we were going to see him into season 6, because I believe in the books he's not killed off until the 6th book. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that is where this storyline technically happens. But it actually happened in episode 10 of season 5. So, let's talk about the events that happened. So while everybody is getting ready for the meeting with Bonnet, that includes young Ian, Roger, and Jamie, they go to Wiley's Landing while Claire and Brianna are off doing some shopping for medical supplies. And at one point they just end up at the beach and they're just looking for seashells that they can use for medicinal purposes. So while they're doing that, they have no idea what's going down at Wiley's Landing. While Bonnet was supposed to meet the men there, that is not what happens. What happens is he sends his goons over there instead. So Roger and Jamie have to knock him out and stop them before they can kill them. And thankfully they are able to kind of get an answer out of one of them, but they didn't really, I don't know. It's a little confused about that part. Anyway, what happens is that Bonnet was not there. He saw Brianna and Claire in town instead, and followed them to the beach. This is literally where you can use son of a beach. So he confronts Claire, and he unfortunately gets the upper hand. He almost slits her throat, but Brianna is there, so at one point she tries to shoot him. He says, if you don't put the gun down, I'm going to kill your mother. So eventually Claire, thankfully, is able to elbow him, and she gets away, almost, until he knocks her out. And Brianna comes running in trying to stop him, but then he knocks her out unconscious and kidnaps her. Not good. So Claire wakes up, she goes to find the men, and they try to figure out where Bonnet might have taken Brianna. So it's not a matter of just finding Bonnet now, they have to find Brianna. So Bonnet has a plan, which it's mainly to get the property and the fortune that Jocasta has. So Gerald Forbes, who is his lawyer, goes to deal with that with Jocasta. And boy, that was a scene I was not expecting in this episode. What happens with that is Gerald Forbes is there to discuss some business that Jocasta wants done. It turns out she actually wants to give her fortune away, not just to Jeremiah, but to the whole family, which is really generous of her. However, Gerald Forbes does not see it like that, because he is actually going to be getting some of that fortune. So while she's listing off the amounts for everybody, he is getting constantly, extra upset about this. And he ends up attacking her, almost suffocating her with a pillow. Thankfully, she is able to knock over a table with a bell, which is usually what she uses to call Ulysses, her servant. And honestly, guys, Ulysses is awesome. I never talk about him on my videos, and I feel bad that I don't, because he is great. He's not just a servant, he's truly a dedicated, loyal human being, and he saves Jocasta. He's able to grab Gerald Forbes, and he actually breaks his neck in the process. And thankfully, Jocasta is okay. She wakes up, she's breathing, but certainly I'm sure she is shaken by this. Oh, boy, I will say, if Jocasta did not see Murtaugh in that moment, I will be surprised. I was just not expecting that. I was so afraid for her. Because the show can change things, and they do. This whole episode is an example of that. But I am so relieved that Jocasta is still alive. So yeah, that is what went down at River Run. What happens with Bree is that she has been taken to an island that Bonnet has, and she is basically kept as a prisoner there, and he tries to play the nice guy thing because he knows that it's his way of getting close to his son, which means getting close to his property and fortune. So what he does is he says to Bree that he wants to be a gentleman. And I will honestly give credit to Ed Spaliers here, because I think I said his name right. He played this role really well. He made me despise Bonnet's guts. And he did a great job in this episode being charming, and it's really something where people like that can be very manipulative, and charm is one of their ways to be manipulative. Charisma is a way to win someone over. They're very good at this. It's a game that they play, and they are very good at fooling people, unless you know exactly who they are. So Bree is smart. She doesn't buy into this because she knows what kind of person he is. But in order to stay alive, she has to play along. So she does do what he requests of her. And at one point, it almost seems like he wants to sleep with her. And she's able to distract him by saying, hey, how about we read a book? Because this is what I do for Jeremiah. And while she's doing that, she pretends to read Moby Dick, which she had mentioned earlier in the episode. And she actually knows this word for word. Honestly, that is impressive. I don't know any of my books word for word. But she's able to read that to him, and he actually kind of relates to it in a way. But their conversation soon turns into him actually telling her about his childhood, how he was an orphan, didn't have a mother or father, and he actually, this is kind of where he craves the bonding that you usually have with your mother and father that he never got. It is a whole psychological thing. There's a Maslow's pyramid of needs. Pretty sure it's Maslow. And this is where the psychology comes into, where Bonnet, this is basically like why he is the way he is. And unfortunately, you will learn that villains often do have reasons for being villains. They're not particularly good reasons, because there are people who can rise above these things, and there's others that choose to go in the opposite direction. So it's kind of a mix of that and who you really truly are. But anyway, this almost kind of strikes a chord for Brianna, because she's making him open up to her. But he's good at dismissing it. So he almost wants to be with her, but she tells him a gentleman says goodnight to a lady at this point. So amazingly, he leaves her, and she's able to get a night's rest until the morning, when she tries to convince Bonnet to let her go get Jemmy. She's obviously not going to go get Jemmy, she's going to get help. But he kind of buys into it until she kisses him. And unfortunately, this is how he knows when she's lying, because he can tell that she despises him, which you can't blame her. So yeah, he thinks he's punishing her by doing it with his servant, who's technically a prostitute that he hired. And after he leaves, she tries to convince the prostitute to go and find her family and tell them where she is, but the prostitute's she just won't do it. So unfortunately, Bree is stuck there. And we later learn that she is going to be sold as a sex slave. Which unfortunately, the storyline is kind of relevant to this time. I actually thought we were going to see more of how he was going to try to get Jemmy and try to convince people that he's his son, and that Bree consented to that night that he raped her. But this turned into a storyline that I'm pretty sure happens in book 6, from what I recall reading. So it's interesting that they mixed the two storylines and brought them together in season 5. So it makes me wonder what they're planning for season 6. Anyway. So thankfully, when Claire, Jamie, and Roger, they find, well, good old Mr. Wiley, who did not know that Bonnet was not going to show up, but he does have an idea of where he might be. So they go to the brothel where Bonnet was earlier, and they do find the prostitute, whose name I believe is Eppie? Eppie or Effie? I think it was Eppie. And Claire does help her with a little medical issue, to which finally Eppie agrees to tell her where Brianna is. So right as Brianna is being sold to a disgusting sea captain, Thankfully, her family finds her right before she is brought onto a boat to go to his ship, and Roger beats the heck out of Bonnet, and they are able to save Brianna. Thank God. I was so afraid this was going to be left on a cliffhanger, and I did not know how they were going to finish this up in just a few minutes, but they managed to. And so yeah, they captured Bonnet. Bree didn't just want to leave him there, she wanted him to go through trial. At first, Claire and Jamie thought maybe it wasn't a good idea because of Bonnet's influence with the people there. However, this is where it unfortunately comes in handy that Roger was almost hanged by Governor Tryon, at least his orders. And so Governor Tryon actually has the influence. There is thankfully a court ruling that Bonnet is to be sentenced to death. And with Bonnet, he does have a fear of drowning, and this ends up being his punishment / death sentence. So he is left on a stake right in like a tide area, and he is clearly afraid because, like I said, it's his fear, and this is unfortunately a fitting punishment for him. However, right as the tide reaches like right at his chin, we suddenly hear a gunshot and Bonnet is shot in the head. Now, if you guys have read the books, you know it was Brianna. She did it from the shoreline, and Roger actually asks her an interesting question like, was this mercy or was this to make sure that he's dead? But I also think it was partly revenge. Like, in a way, it was her way of not just seeing him suffer that whole time, but also she finally got to do it herself. So, yeah, that's where it ended. And honestly, this episode was not what I was expecting, but it was really well done. And I loved that this was actually an episode that focused on everything that they have been teasing this whole time. Like, we had seen Bonnet in a couple of episodes, we kept hearing about him, and finally there is a confrontation, there is a big storyline involving him, and we finally get to see a satisfying ending to his character. Oh, that was a lot to talk about. But honestly, this episode was great. And Sophie, she did amazing in this episode. She had a lot to deal with Bonnet not only being manipulative towards her, but she has to figure out a way to get away from him, trying to escape. And Sophie just played all of these emotions so flawlessly, and I think this is one of her best episodes. And she does play the role really well, but she really stood out in this episode. So yes, I loved the acting. And I am so excited to see the last 2 episodes. At first, I thought that the season finale was tonight, only because when the end credits started rolling, they didn't show the preview for the next episode. They were showing the preview for another show that was on next, and then I started wondering, wait, is this it? Was this the last episode? I got so scared. Thankfully, after the preview for the other show, then they showed the preview for the next 2 episodes, which look intense. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea. This is the point where I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen for the rest of the season. All of the spoilers I have read in the past have come to pass. So, yeah, anything goes at this point. Oh, I hope there's nothing too intense, but we'll see. And yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with the villain for next season because, like I said, I'm pretty sure Bonnet was in book 6. Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of mixed reviews on that. I can guarantee that. So guys, before I end the episode / video, I just want to say that I don't want to talk about anything negative this time. I was only bringing up some things last time because it was bothering me that people were being targeted, especially in a time like this, but I want to talk about positive things right now because honestly that is like what's gotten me through the week. I've been inspired by some people on YouTube, and like they've done vlogs where it's just all positive things. They talk about the good things in life, and that's honestly great that in this time that we can find things like that. And this week was full of a little craziness, but I don't know if you guys have ever found a lizard in your kitchen, because it happens. That is quite literally what happened to me yesterday. And he safely was removed and put back in the backyard. So, don't worry. No animal cruelty there. So, that was a wild day. If you guys ever do find a lizard in your house, either find someone that can help you or just know not to grab it by the tail, because lizards are infamous for dropping their tails. So yeah, guys, honestly, this week has been better than I thought it was going to be. The warm weather has been nice here. Just getting to see the clouds even, it's such a calming thing. So it's good to focus on things like that, and that's something that I have been trying to do this week, and it's helped me a lot. And it's something I have to continue to keep doing because that is keeping me sane, gives me hope, and it makes me appreciate this earth that we're on. Like Earth Day was on Wednesday, and it's just nice to know that life is still happening. Sometimes you just literally have to stop and smell the roses. So, yeah. Thankfully, on Outlander, a conflict was resolved. Actually, technically 2 conflicts if you count Jocasta's, but yes, those were resolved, and we will see what the writers have planned for the last 2 episodes. And hopefully life as we know it will start to go back to normal, and everything will start to calm down. Alright guys, hopefully that's everything I wanted to talk about. I have these moments where I think I've said everything, I stop the video, upload it, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention that. So, if there is anything I forgot, I will leave it in the comments, but yeah. Alright guys, I will see you for episode 11. Have a great week. Stay healthy, stay strong, and I will see you next week.